Let's just start.
We're back.
How are we doing? We're back. Feels like we never left.
We missed one.
Did
We
we?
missed a week.
I
Do you
didn't
remember why?
I didn't notice. Why did that happen, Laura?
Because the bathroom got flooded.
Yes, we had a small, minor plumbing emergency. But
Yep.
that's okay. We're okay now. Now, listen, I want to get started today by saying that I think if anyone's still with us after these last 5 episodes, I think I've got a lot of respect for that. Because
This is the fifth.
Is it? Okay, good. I think we've been okay, but I think we could definitely lift our game. So I think we've got our sea legs back.
Yeah.
And now we're ready to put in the good.
So
quality.
the first four were practice, were they?
I wouldn't go that far.
Not even practice.
No, we're trying. We're trying.
Hindsight's a hell of a thing.
Hindsight's a hell of a thing. But no, I think now we're a little bit more organised.
Yep.
We've got a little bit more prep. That 2-week break has given us a little bit of prep.
Yep.
You wanted to start with lottery tickets. Now, I don't understand what does that mean?
For some reason, people enjoy when we have disagreements.
Can I say, I don't know if you remember, I put that poll out at the start. What do you want us to talk about? And I gave people 5 options and all 5 of them came up even. So I just say we just keep rolling. So tell me, what's this lottery tickets
No,
business?
well, we have this sort of discussion semi-regularly where I buy Tats Lotto tickets and then you tell me how silly it is to buy the Tats Lotto
No,
ticket.
that's not what I say. I ask, have we ever won anything?
I win all the time. $21.80.
How much for the investment?
$9.60.
So when you win a $9.60, what's the investment?
I don't know.
Give or take.
Why are you asking me that?
Give or take.
$27?
So $27 to win 9 is a win.
It's not about that. The big show.
Look, I love lottery tickets. I love the idea. I love the you know, like, because, you know, someone's going to win. Like, why not us?
That advertising campaign that the lot's got with Your Ticket to Dream
Yeah.
is the most effective, like the smartest tagline, because that's what it is to me. I love it. I love buying the ticket and going to bed at night, thinking about how I'm going to spend it.
Do you know what's hilarious? Is that later we're talking about dopamine, and that is very interestingly on point.
Well, I would probably, I mean, it's not ideal because it costs money, but it's not a destructive.
No. Look, just to be clear, like there's governments around the world that use lottery to raise money for, you know, like the lotteries are.
I'm not talking about that.
No, they're deeply embedded. So I've got no problem with lotteries. You know, if you go to some suburbs, I have a barrel and everyone goes in there and someone goes home with the money.
No, we're just
I
talking
love
about
it. But what I don't
my
understand
habit of buying tickets
is consistent. And I'm like, what's the ROI? But then we do it. Anyway, I'm all in. Lotteries, you never hear it from me again. But what it does lead us to is the total cost of things, not the individual cost of things, which you seem to have a problem with me.
Massive problem.
My accurate description of things.
Massive problem.
Tell me what your issue is.
I really strongly, vehemently dislike it when you add up the total cost over weeks, months and years of small purchases
So let's say
that I make regularly.
Let's say not you, that anybody makes regularly. So let's say a coffee a day is how much? $5?
Yeah.
How much is that a year?
What does it matter, Christian? Why can't we just enjoy the $5 coffee? Are we going to stop buying the $5 coffee?
No, but it's important to know what you're getting into. It's like if you got a $5 coffee and a $5 this and a $5 that and a $5 that's $20 a day, which is fine. Do whatever you want. Like life is to be lived. But 20 by 365 is what, $7,000, $8,000?
It's such a downer. I don't think, unless you're sitting down and doing a budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the purpose of
So
self-flagellation.
Just
Yes. Like, you know, if you tell me how much my loco habit costs me, I don't want to know.
How much is loco? $7 throw?
Mhm.
One a day? That's reasonable.
Yeah.
7 sevens, $50 a week, 50 weeks a year, $2,500.
Some people buy cigarettes every week.
Idiots. No one does anymore.
I have to say, though,
they fake imported.
I have to
stolen
say, though,
cigarettes.
I'm being unfair because despite this annoying habit of yours of dragging me down, you never say no to anything.
And I never will.
Right. So that makes it even more meaningless doing the adding up.
No, I think it's important for context because one day it'll matter, right? It's all well and good when things are going okay.
You tell me when it matters, and then give me a little number crunching business.
Okay. So I will. The thing is, it doesn't actually bother me at all. But
Why do you do
but the
it?
way my brain works is okay. So I think it was
Let's talk about my Reggiano Parmigiana.
Okay, so
Parmesan, probably saying
so
wrong.
that's like I can't remember how much it is per kilo, but every
Nature's
slice
protein
that we
bar.
get, it is. It's about $17 a throw. Okay, $16 to $17 a throw. It is amazing, and it is basically pure protein. It's unbelievable, delicious, all these things. But we're getting like 2 a week, right?
Yeah.
Let's say maybe 3 sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say 2 times 15 or 2.5 times 15 is somewhere between $30 and $40. Let's say 30 to be generous, times 52 weeks. Want to do some math?
No.
If you stack all these things up, it ends up being 30 grand
What
before
would
you
you have
even.
me do?
I would have you
Eat
have.
an egg?
Well, you do it. We don't do that.
Protein bars are like $6 each.
I would certainly not have you eating protein bars.
Anyway, so I think I've been unfair because we'll just finish with a bow with that an agreement that we made with each other
Yes.
many, many years ago, which was yes to everything always.
Yes to everything always.
Which we can maybe explore in another conversation. But
yes.
I think I'm just like, can we skip the maths and just go to the yes to everything always?
Well, we're
please?
always going to be yes to everything always, but there's some fun in actually looking at the
For you.
facts.
For you. I just want to enjoy the thing. Anyway, I think we've blocked the dead horse. I got it out of my system. Thanks.
All right, I wanted to do a very short, very sharp segment on tariffs. Okay.
All right.
Now, only because number one, and by the way, I'm not going to sit here and say all these effects that it's going to have, but I think it's been very prominent in the news, obviously, this week, and I think it's been covered quite poorly.
Educate us.
No, I wouldn't go that far, but so I would say there'd be people far more qualified than me to go through the mechanics at the macro level. But I just wanted to if you're reading it in the paper and it's like, whatever it is you call it these days, let's just go through the reading in the news or online.
TikTok.
Let's just go through a few things
Yes.
that might help with context.
Okay.
So basically, and by the way, very little of this is opinion. So this is sort of going to try and stick to the facts as much as I can. I've listened at some length to all the people involved in the United States as to what they're trying to do with and to their economy.
Yep.
So they have a $2 trillion deficit, which means every year they spend $2 trillion.
See, look what happens when you add up numbers.
More than they raise. And that's all because of coffees, right? So they spend $2 trillion more than they raise, and they have a debt of about $35 trillion.
Ooh.
Now those numbers I can't fathom them. But what happened is, of course, interest rates have gone up because interest rates were zero. You can borrow forever, but they've gone up, and now it's an actual problem. Their Social Security will be bankrupt in 7 years or something like that. So they've got like literally forever problems today that they need to resolve.
Yep.
So the new regimes come in, they've gone, we need to lower our spending, which is what they're trying to do with the Doge. We're going to lower taxes, but we're going to increase tariffs. And what is a tariff? A tariff is when a product arrives at the port, someone's imported it to sell it or they bought it, they put a tax on it. It is simply like a GST, it is like any other tax, and it is on the local citizens. So if you or I buy something from overseas and Australia has a tariff on that product, when it arrives, we're paying 10% or 15%
when it arrives
extra.
Or at the consumer point?
But that has to be collected, right? And
Yep.
it goes to the government. So people will say that it's a tax on individuals in the country in the United States. It absolutely is. It is a tax actually on Americans, but the tariff in America. But what it aims to do, whether this works or not is a horse of a different color, is to raise enough money to lower individual taxes, right? So the actual household comes better off. Now, just a little tiny bit of background. Tariffs have been used in lots of different ways over the years, over the decades. But in 2018, Trump first brought them in, small, China and some other places. Then Biden not only extended them, but increased them. Now, I read some independent research. It was costing about $400 per household in total for all the tariffs that Trump and Biden put on in that 6 years or whatever it might be. So it's kind of small beer. The reasons they would do it is A, to collect more money, but also B, to protect local industries. So if
I'm not, that 400 seems really low.
it is, but that was back then. It won't be the case now.
Got it.
It'll be much higher now.
Got it.
So if a country is able to produce cars, I won't say which country, at no profit and dump them into your market, you might put a tariff on them to protect your local car industry because we're paying high wages, we're paying high energy. They're cutting every corner. They're dumping the cars in, so we put a
It's a
tariff on.
handicap.
In that case, it makes perfect sense to put a tariff on. This global slap a tariff on everybody, I don't like at all. I don't think it is productive. If it is being used as a tactic to raise revenue, if it is being used as a tactic to start negotiations on trade deals, then that is, again, different.
Yep.
I'm less negative about it. It is going to increase costs. There's a massive risk that it drives a global recession, a total slowdown in international trade. But so long as you know what they're trying to do, it helps with a little bit of context. They're trying to reset the entire US economy because the status quo right now puts them in bankruptcy in our lifetime. But that's a fact.
I just find that hard to believe. I know that logically, but it's like these mega countries just always they just borrow more non-existent money.
Yeah, they do.
It's just it's all a fakery to me. I mean, how does $30 trillion, like whatever you said, how does it even exist? Like, what is that?
They invent it.
Right.
But that's the point. This is when, if you go back historically, I'm not going to sit into the wax circle all day on this, but if you go back historically, historically there were all the big empires, all the big countries of today, they might have started their currency with gold or silver 100%. And within 100 or 200 or 500 years, they'd melted it down so that it was like cheaper and only 5% silver. But the value was supposed to be the same.
Yes.
That is what we've been doing. We've been degrading our currencies. The reason property prices, one of the reasons they're so high in Australia is because our currency is in the toilet.
I know. I can't buy anything overseas now. It's too expensive.
Massive problems that all started around the GFC. And we didn't do the hard work then. We went to zero interest rates. All this debt, all this shit happened in the last sort of 15, 16 years. And we're now on a trajectory that has to be resolved. Now, is this the way to do it? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say, should do this, should do that. But that's what they're trying to do. And it comes at great risk.
Let's put a bow on tariffs by what are the different ways, just summarize again the different ways that this could go.
Okay. A tariff to protect your industry is one thing. So let's say that is not what this is. Right. This is a global slap tariff on everybody, pretty much at differing levels, to try and balance their trade relationships, to try and reset their trade relationship and get money in. Yep. But balance their trade. So their trade. Anyway, it's a bit of a mess. I don't love the way they've done it. It's a bit of a hot mess, but it could go right. Yep. In that they collect some money. A whole bunch of countries start sorting out some deals. They get some more fair deals in trade, and within 12 months, it's all. Everyone wins, but mostly the US. Two, it could go badly if all these tariffs go up, all these countries that are trade exposed like Australia, although it won't affect us at all. Tiny. US is a tiny part of our trade. We won't even notice it, to be honest. But all these trade affected countries are at risk that their costs go up by 10, 20, 30%, right? They can't compete in the US market. They have to scramble, go somewhere else. They can't get commodities that they're using now because they're from countries with high tariff. It could cause, seriously, global standstill in economies.
Well, this is fun. We'll just wait and see.
But having said that, none of that's happened yet. So let's not get too panicked about it. In my view, I'm going to predict, I think within 3 to 6 months, it'll all be wound back. Yep. It'll be a test. There'll be we've won, we've got what we wanted. They'll cut government spending. They'll get closer to balancing their budget, maybe, and and then there'll be a boost because everyone, it's all gone. Let's all rock on. So I think in the end it'll be okay. But there are serious risks that it could go very pear-shaped. Every asset value is going to be wound down. A lot of share markets and that are going to be very volatile for the next little while. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
But I'm not panicking.
Thank you for the economics lesson, Dr. Christian.
Oh, this was
I just feel like this is not in the right place.
Okay.
Just fixing it.
That's okay. You can fix your microphone.
Continue.
What did you want to... You wanted to have a proper discussion today about, this is a serious topic. So if anyone's interested, this is actually, I'd be listening into this, about dopamine and about the behavioral impacts of dopamine on people. Maybe I'll leave it to you.
I think that while we're on the education train, why don't you do your shot glass version of the dopaminergic
system.
Is that the word?
Dopaminergic system. Look, and here
for context.
Yeah, I'm not a biologist. Go and look it up, but some of us
don't want to look it up. Just tell us the answer.
So broadly, dopamine is a system. It's a reward system. It's an ancient reward system that is basically built to keep you alive, and it keeps you interested in doing things. So you get a boost of what you might just say energy, like you get a burst or a boost of energy, excitement, whatever, about something that's upcoming. And this is why it feeds into things like gambling, and it feeds into things like drugs and other things, because the things you got coming up that are exciting, your dopaminergic system gives you a boost to go and do them.
It helps you function.
But it helps heaps of things. Kidney fat, it's a whole bunch of things it does. I'm not going to get into it because I'm not expert enough to talk about it. But broadly, how it affects the everyday person, if there's something you're excited about or looking forward to, you'll get a dopaminergic burst to push you toward it. And it'll reward you for doing good things.
It's not just if you're excited. That's not the only way you get dopamine.
No, but like that's a crude sort of description. So I think it would help you hunt and get up to go and eat food. You got something you're looking forward to, something you're moving toward.
There's a motivation. There's a
motivation.
driver. So I think that's why it's not looking for. There's a driver.
Yes, it is the driver.
It's the engine.
Yes.
In your system.
Yes, that fires you up to head toward the thing, whatever it is. So it's not actually when you get it, it's actually the drive toward it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So your body will release all these chemicals and they'll say, yes, go and get the energy to go and do that thing, or to get that thing, or to win that thing, or to fight that thing.
To get out of bed.
Yeah, to get out of bed because you got something to be. And the reason I say excited, it's something you're driven to. Probably that's a better description, as you say.
Yeah.
So let's leave biology corner there. Butchered that pretty badly, but we got there at the end.
The science and the economics lesson over
I mean,
the day.
To take the other hat off, what's my next hat?
No, what I think, it's funny. I was talking to someone recently and they were talking about anxiety, and I just sort of just vomited out all of these things that I've worked through and that helped me, and I got really excited about it. And when I'm always halfway through that, I always sort of stop and say to the person, like, I'm sorry if you're not looking for answers or problems, but like, I can't help myself because I don't know everything and I'm not an expert on anything, but
you're working on it.
I get excited when things work and I want to share those things.
Get a dopamine boost.
We can talk about the anxiety list another day, and you've got a lot to contribute there. But with dopamine and me, and I'm not going to put labels on things because I haven't got diagnosis. I haven't gone.
Yep. No, but let's just be practical.
Anything. But
dopamine and you.
I have always been a high anxiety individual.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, I've really worked on reducing that anxiety.
Mm.
And it sort of coincided with COVID happening, where I managed to start decreasing my anxiety. And what I noticed was, without the sort of normalcy of life, without the flow of normal life, I grinded to an almighty halt.
Yep.
And, I'm sure, like lots of people, obviously everyone had their own unique experience with COVID and lockdowns, but
some people loved it.
Some people loved it. And look, there's parts of it I look back.
Sure.
I mean, it's a bit sick. But,
Sorry,
look at the kids. And it was a lovely time altogether. But putting that to one side, I sort of discovered in this process that I was missing all of these drivers, these things, this scaffolding that I had in my life. And without all of those things, the motor stopped running, basically.
Yeah.
And, there's been lots of times in my life where I've thought, am I depressed because I can't get up, or I can't start the thing, or I need to go and get something from the shops, and I just cannot do it. And I'm an intelligent person. I'm a driven person.
For sure.
I am not somebody who lets things slide. Like, you wouldn't look at me and say, well, there's all these things on your list you never get done.
No, you're a machine. Like, let's be honest.
But anxiety was the thing, was kicking off the dopamine in my system to get me to do the things. When I started peeling that away, I was screwed, basically. So what I had to start building was a system to give me dopamine in a way that wasn't coming from anxiety. It wasn't coming from destructive.
Yeah, negative reinforcement sort of stuff.
Right? Because, okay, when we talk about dopamine, like some of the really destructive ways that you can get dopamine is drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling,
violence,
aggression. Those things,
Conflict, just even confrontation. Yeah.
they are
yeah,
like,
yeah.
bang, wow, what a sugar hit,
Yep.
right? Like, for example, I realized through a part of this process that I would sometimes argue with people in Facebook comments to get a dopamine hit.
Which I'm sure millions of people are literally
Right?
doing daily and not realizing.
And so maybe doing that in the morning, first thing, and then you're like, okay, the motor's on, rev.
Crazy, huh?
Okay, I can get to work now, right?
And what a truly negatively poor
Sick.
pair way to get
Sick.
Sick's a bit strong, but it's not a great way to start the day. It's not
Right.
a positive way to start the day.
So, anxiety was driving a lot of my dopamine reward system.
Mm.
For me, I've had a lifelong sugar addiction.
Mhm.
And, a lot of people say, oh, I'm addicted to this. Was,
No, it was a problem.
when I remember when I was in my 20s and I saw a doctor about it, she said, you're actually going to give yourself diabetes the way you eat. I'm talking, I had every single day a block of caramello, whole block Cadbury, a block of peppermint, usually like a bag of banana lollies. Like, I'm talking like $30 of supermarket sugar. And that just continued right through my adulthood. And I had periods where I got off it and I was good. And I thought it was a sugar addiction. I thought it was something to do with energy levels, that I needed a boost and all of this sort of thing. Again, having now realized that this was a dopamine hit.
100%.
Because it never gave me energy, didn't make me really feel good.
Got ready for the next thing.
But the excitement of the eating of the thing.
Because
Anyway,
even though you would feel sick after it, you'd still keep doing it. Well, I was the same, by the way, but carry on.
Like when I worked in the city in office jobs, like 3 o'clock down to Hague's, $50 on bags of freckles and I would need that to then do
How
the
much
next.
does $50 on freckles a day add up to? I'm joking.
Doesn't matter when you're high flying.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
that was just getting me through because my dopamine was crashing by that time of the day and maybe sitting in an office all day.
Okay, you've established the scene really well. So,
have I?
No, you have. Like, I think a lot of people recognize that feeling.
And I just want to talk about executive dysfunction, which is part of this. And that is when you can't start a task or you don't know where to start. I think that people who don't have an issue with this just can't actually conceive how it feels to be sitting in bed in the morning and having your mind racing with what you've got to get through, even including having a shower, making lunch for the kids, which I don't have to do, thank you. Put this load of washing on. I've got a meeting at this time.
50 mountains.
And being frozen, literally frozen. And it's like someone needs to give you an instruction manual of putting one foot in front of the other.
But worse, being a person of such agency that if you get past that first hump, you're going to do all those things quicker than anybody, right?
And look, I don't think anyone externally could have looked at me and thought that I had this issue because my anxiety was such that it was jolting me out of that. And I was just running it all the time.
I think the dopamine system runs on the adrenal system. Like they run through the same. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, by the way.
So that would mean.
But that's no surprise, is it? That they just like.
So what do? And then every few weeks, absolute
crash,
epic crash out. Again, am I like chronically depressed? What is wrong with
Yes.
2 days later, okay. That's not depression.
It's not, yeah.
Right? So anyway, I won't go through the whole long story, but what I wanted to talk about is this sort of toolkit that I've built and I'm still building and I'm not perfect at.
I would say you're 60% of the way there. I would say
which to me is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right?
And in what, 5 years, really, in reality?
This is I know there's lots of options available and people, there's medication and I tried L-tyrosine for a little while. I know you like it sometimes. It did help me, but actually upset my stomach too much.
With executive dysfunction, so it helps you to
focus.
Get started, to focus.
Get started. Well, no, it helps you focus because if you get started on L-tyrosine on TikTok, looking at TikTok,
you never get let it go.
You'll stay on. If you take the L-tyrosine and you force yourself to work,
you're right.
You'll keep working.
I find L-tyrosine when I have to do a block of work is amazing.
So, okay. So
toolkit.
I just want to preface this by saying that this seems like a really trite list.
I don't think it will. Maybe to you.
If you don't have an issue with this and you are not serious about trying to address it in yourself personally, without medication, without therapy, I don't know.
Mm.
This will just sound, it's sort of like when people are overweight and someone says, eat less and move more.
Yeah,
And
thanks
you're
for
like, no shit.
that. Yeah, thanks for that.
That's what this is going to
It's
sound
pretty
like.
damn helpful. Okay, so let's say we're going to do your toolkit now.
I have to get my list out.
Okay, get your list out.
I don't have a good enough
So this
memory.
is the Laura Racky toolkit, work in progress, unfinished, of how you have tackled dopamine, let's say, how would you even call it?
Deficiency.
Deficiency is a good word.
Yeah.
Okay, fire away.
Hard to believe I'm deficient in
Toolkit.
anything.
It's going to sound trite. Yeah, no, you're not deficient. It's going to sound trite, but I think most people would be pretty happy to hear this.
Here's the first one. Movement. Movement, movement, movement. One thing is don't sit down ever, basically, if you've got this issue.
Yeah.
The second you sit down, you're screwed.
Done. Yeah.
But movement. So that doesn't just have to be organized exercise. Like, obviously Pilates for me, now it's over 2 years in of consistent daily.
It's changed your life.
I can't live without that.
Yep.
And look, I get that these are all maybe new crutches, but they're not destructive like old ones.
Yep.
It's better than eating 4 blocks of Cadbury chocolate, right?
Marginally.
So movement, but it's not just the movement of I'm going to a Pilates class or I'm going for a run or going to the gym. So that is great because doing a decent block of more strenuous exercise will give you a massive, massive dopamine hit that can last many hours.
Yep.
But movement for me, I have to pepper it through my day. If I'm sitting at my desk all day long, I will start.
It's like a sinkhole.
Literally, I will start fading. The focus will go. And now I kind of can catch myself in a moment where I can see that my productivity is taking a nosedive. And I could sit there for the next hour trying to muster up that energy and that drive, or I just stop. I go for a walk, usually to go and buy Loco, get another coffee.
But that's the point, isn't
or run an errand.
That's the point. I know we joked earlier about like the cost of all this sort of thing, but what this is you're creating like touch points in your life to make you move.
So sometimes,
because if you don't, you fall in a sinkhole.
And I know this.
Yeah.
And so sometimes as well, it'll be like, well, I really don't want to do this task. This is a really boring piece of work I have to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to grit my teeth and I'm going to do it. And in 45 minutes when it's done, I'm putting on my runners. I'm going up the street. I'm going to get that thing I needed to get that's on my list. I'm going to get my little sweet treat. And that's what I've got. It gets me there.
It sounds like toddler level stuff, but this is we had to go underground to get this fixed. Yeah.
I get excited about that I'm going to go for a walk.
Yeah.
And I'm talking 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Then having done that, I'll talk about the other things I'll do while I'm walking, but then you come back, you've moved, you've been in the fresh air, you've had sunshine, maybe you've talked to somebody. Yeah. All of those things.
Boost.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
I told you this was going to sound simple.
No, but it isn't.
All right. The next one is the micro wins to tackle the executive dysfunction.
Yep.
So sometimes, I talk about it like the motor needing to get started or even the ball rolling, yeah?
Can we just define executive dysfunction as we understand it?
Well, it's like your brain can't actually work out how it's going to get through a task.
So you have a list of tasks to do or whatever it is, to prioritize them and then to pick one to start on is virtually like what I would define as the difficulty doing that is executive dysfunction.
And depending on what time of the month or what sometimes it is impossible.
Yes.
So rather than sitting at my desk and going, wow, I've got like 5 really complex pieces of thinking that I need to do and then being stuck frozen because
which one do I do? How do I start?
How do I start? I'll just go and fold a load of washing. Or I'll make a bed, or I'll book that appointment I meant to book, or, even.
You'll do admin or whatever to get started.
Order, do our protein powder order for the month or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but when you tick off a couple of these really simple things, something
reward
happens.
System. Your reward system kicks into action.
And then you can get to the next thing and the next thing. So I know we talked last week about eating the frog, but sometimes you got to do the little things to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Just for like example, sometimes this feeling is so overwhelming. It feels like I can't breathe properly. Like I know it's not energy, but it is
no better
like,
way to describe it, right?
There's no better way. It's like I can't even be bothered. It's just everything is so hard.
Yeah.
It's like being in mud.
And you sometimes describe it as you feel like you have no blood in your body.
No blood in your body. And the fact that it can get turned with such simple things makes me feel good because I know it's not insurmountable. And I know it's not something wrong with me.
So you say they're simple and they're trite, and they are. right? But also they're not, because you had to go and find them and work on them and work out what's for you. And for other people, it'll be different things.
Oh, totally.
Right? So now
Totally.
continue with the list.
Okay, so the next
This is
one
the Law
was
Racky toolkit
next
for
one.
dopamine.
We are taking way too long. Sorry. The next one was cutting out sugar.
Yep.
It's really bloody hard.
Yep.
And not everyone will have this as an issue.
Yep.
So, but had to do it
And it worked.
because
And every time you go back, you fall back.
and you have to think of yourself like an alcoholic, that if you touch the real thing, like you don't say to an alcoholic, just have a sip.
Nope.
Have one square of the chocolate. Because if you're an addict, like I was and am,
The system lights up.
right.
Yep.
So a big part of getting out of it, it's hard, but I have a few little tricks. The first thing that I do is for the first 2 weeks, it's like you go hard on fats, carbs, and salt.
Yes, yes.
Like hard.
Like cheese.
Cheese, pizza, potatoes. Like you've got to kind of fill the void a little bit
Yeah.
while you recalibrate.
Yeah. And then you're fine. Well, you can go for
Physically,
months.
your body will
But
start
then
to
you
get
can
over
go
it.
for months.
Months. I reckon I'm like 3 years now. And the other thing is just saying, keep continuously saying, this isn't going to make me feel good.
Yeah.
This will not make me feel good.
Got to fall into the hole a lot of times before you can say that, right?
It's really hard. We can talk about quitting sugar another time, but
Yes.
highly recommend.
What's left on your toolkit?
Building alternative dopamine hits
Yep.
is really important. So things like music, listening to music, getting a hug from your kids or your partner or your family, like so basic. But sometimes when I can't get up in the morning, I say to my daughter, get up here,
Come
I
and
need a
cuddle me.
hug. And we call like
And to get you
she's
started.
powering me up, right? So you got to go and work out a whole heap of really simple things, short and sweet. They might not get you to doing a whole day's worth of work, but it might just get you to the first thing that then starts the ball rolling. Another thing that is really important is just resting when your tank is empty. This stuff takes effort.
Yeah, it took you a long time to take that advice, by the way.
It did.
But I understand that, because like when I get into that hole, I actually grind into, I want to keep going, because that's how I get out of it,
Yes.
which we'll talk about another day, but I grind my way out
That's
of it.
your way.
But for you, if you try and grind your way out of it, you just end up digging a bigger hole,
Yes.
and you just need to take that break.
And like I said, if you don't have this issue, it will be crazy to you to think like, why do you get so exhausted?
Same as someone who's never had like chronic depression, seeing someone who has chronic, who can't, like they basically
why
have
can't
the world.
you just get out of bed?
Yeah, come on, just go and do it. It's not as easy as that.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So it's like you're living your normal life. Everyone has difficult lives and work hard and kids and da-da. But then on top of that, it's all these micro things that you've got to do to keep the ball rolling and the wheels turning. Shopping dopamine.
Yes.
I have not slayed that dragon.
But you have a secret weapon.
I'm working on it. Yes. So the shopping dopamine has been, I'm addressing that through this app called Carted. I realized
CARTED.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I realized that a lot of like my shop is that panic shopping of like, I see something on Instagram and then I go to it and I think if I don't buy this right now, I'm going to forget about it.
Oh,
it's so
imagine
weird.
how horrible that would be.
Because also I can't keep a track of all the things I like.
Right.
So now, bang, I put it into Carted and then it's there in this little app. And then if I really want it or whatever, it's there and I can
So
go
the
back to it.
dopamine isn't in the getting, it's in the pursuing.
I tell you what, when that
That's
thing comes
the
to my
key.
door that I have bought, I don't feel anything.
Well, maybe one.
When I see that
yeah.
it's coming today, excited.
Yeah.
When I open it,
it's
nothing.
it's the moving toward. It's not the getting.
right.
That's
so when
the
it's
key.
put in my little Carded app, it's just there. So it's actually
So you're moving very slowly toward it by having it in your app.
right. So again, haven't slayed that dragon. Sometimes I have flurries where I must be desperate for the hit and I'll go and spend some money, but I'm getting better at it. I'm being more mindful. A massive, massive element of healing this dopamine addiction and this, you know, with nasty things is actually having awareness and not being judgmental of yourself.
Yeah.
This is something that happens to me.
Took you a long time.
I am like this. This is okay.
Yeah.
It's okay for this to be difficult.
It is what it is.
When you fight it, when you try and tell yourself there's something wrong with you or like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just do these 5 things on your list?
Yeah.
That's not going to help you.
It serves no purpose.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So you just go, okay. And, you know, talk to someone, tell someone, I'm having a lot of trouble getting started today and see if that helps.
I think you'd be surprised how many people would actually be exactly the same, and who maybe haven't
Yes.
consciously worked it out yet. But if you're saying to yourself, "Oh, why can't I just do it?" Are you serious? Like that doesn't help anybody.
I know, but like
No, I was the same. But anyway,
I'm an overachiever. I'm
driven by anxiety,
anxiety
driven by
driven.
fear.
I feel like I've got to do everything perfectly, and then I can't
Yeah, I understand.
for no good reason except my brain won't let me. Like that's
come
ridiculous.
on, brain, get on board.
So just accepting it and being like, okay, cool, this is who I am, and I'm just going to work around it.
Yeah.
Micro starting. So this is a little bit like how they're like, oh, if you can't get up for a run, just put your runners on.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of concept. So I know I'm going back to like the work context, but if I've got to do some really difficult contract, and I know it's going to be complex, it's going to take me a lot of time and I need to concentrate and I'm stressed about it, I'll just be like, I'm just going to create the folder and then I'm going to save the template. And then I might just put the party names in and then I'm just going to go to the next task.
Yep.
And I often find that once I've started, it's the same thing with tidying your house.
Yep.
You look at it
or
and you're
a kid
like,
with a bedroom or whatever. Like
so
it's
much to do. It's like, I will just clear this corner. And then once you've started, often.
Hey, how good's that TikTok woman that's like, this is how long it actually takes? I don't know if anyone's seen this before, but she goes to these rooms. I've been putting this off for a year, this garage with these shelves.
She puts a timer on.
It took me 1 hour and 3 minutes.
27 minutes.
And I put it out for
pantry.
a year, right?
We all do that.
But in a way, that's kind of like where it is. It's like you look at this thing, it feels like a mountain, but really it's a molehill.
And so it's like, just start. Even if you just start and then stop, it's okay.
Let's just start.
We're nearly there. Okay. Let's go back to the walking.
Yes.
So let's, everyone loves habit stacking. Don't waste the walking. Of course, it's good to like just walk without AirPods on and just enjoy the air.
Now
and
come
the
back
light.
to the real world. What is it for you? You need to have boom.
But it's like if I'm going to take these moments out of my day, which is already jam packed, I want to get the most out of it. So audio book, music, call my mum. All these little things.
That'll get you an extra 3 hours a week of movement.
But also all those other lovely things.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you're attached to dopamine as well, of bringing your mother of go. So it's like attaching healthy dopaminergic behavior toward healthy activities. Yes.
So all of these is, and this is the last one, is being thoughtful about your reward system. So I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to be like the Buddha and be completely detached from everything and anything and not need little treats and things to look forward to?
My dream.
But, that's very difficult, and maybe you can only feel like that if you live on top of a mountain.
Maybe 700 lives from now.
We'll get there. But like, there's nothing wrong with being thoughtful about your reward system and saying, I need these posts in the ground across my day, across my week, and I'm going to look forward to things as my reward for pushing myself through things that otherwise would be difficult. So that's my list.
Can I ask you one last question before you summarize your list. So this is your list. What's the final sort of analysis?
So if you know that you struggle with your dopamine, that your dopamine can crash and you have maybe only gone for destructive things or feelings like anxiety or whatever, to drive you. Here's my list. So moving all day long. So that's structured exercise and non-structured exercise.
I got it.
Micro wins to tackle executive dysfunction. So don't look at your full day's list, just do something really mundane and easy.
One tiny thing.
See if that gets the ball rolling. Get rid of sugar if sugar is a problem for you. Or get rid of alcohol if alcohol's a problem. Sorry. Get rid of drugs or smoking. Sorry, but that's true. Build alternative dopamine hits. Like, is it music that gets you going? Is it doing 2 minutes of breath work? Is it punching a bag?
Person?
No, that's the wrong side of things. Ask for a hug, right? Have a checklist, whatever it is. Rest when your tank is empty.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
it's okay.
Come back as the phoenix.
Because it's hard to do this. Come back as the phoenix. Sorry, I need to get my list so I get this right. Get the carded app. Be more mindful about your shopping if shopping is an issue for you.
But it's the same with gambling or anything else. Like they're the same.
Right.
They're all the same.
So whatever it is that you're
going
to as a destructive thing, you're going to have to reframe it and curb it somehow. Cultivate awareness without judgment. So I have this issue. That's okay.
Mm.
I know it. I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to work with it.
Yep.
Micro start. Just kick off something, do it. Just start it and say you're going to put it away.
Yep.
I guarantee 9 times out of 10 you'll keep
Yep.
going. Be mindful. Use walking time. Habit stack your walking
Habit
time.
stacking.
So you get a mega dopamine
Yep.
boost
Yep.
by a 10-minute walk. And have thoughtful rewards like it's your little loco or your coffee or your phone call with a friend, whatever it's, or even a TV show that all day you're excited about.
Yep.
These are cool things.
Build in little mini rewards.
Like I said, this list seems really, really basic.
I don't think it does,
except if you work on it every single day and you've got when you don't have these things at your fingertips, you're screwed.
You say it's try and it is, but who's doing it? How many people are thoughtfully doing all of these things? Not many. I will ask you this final question on this. So you got this list.
Yeah.
How much do you think it has changed or improved or altered your life?
Like by 3,000%.
Yeah. Yeah.
No doubt.
I'd say
because the feeling,
that's true.
The feeling of the low dopamine feeling and everything that comes in with it, the depression, it's not depression, but the down feeling, the anxiety, the hating yourself, the frustration is so extreme.
And just the misery, just like
that when you don't feel that way, it's just you feel a little bit of it and you're like, okay, I need something here. What am I going to do that's good for me that I know will work? And sometimes one thing won't work. Sometimes, like, a hug is not going to work, right?
Like, where's my next thing? Get the mental list. What's
but
next?
you got to have the list. If you don't have the list, you're setting yourself up for the failure. Have the list. Then you've got lots of tools at your disposal, depending on where you're at any given time.
Well done, Laura Racky. That was amazing. That was, I know you put some.
I could talk about this for very long, and I've eaten up nearly our hour.
How long have we been going for?
We've got 25 minutes. Well, we've got 20 minutes because we both have things on in 20.
Oh, right. Okay. So we've got 20 minutes left. Okay. We had a couple more things written down that you wanted to look at. Do you want to choose? We probably can do 1 out of 2. So we can either do.
I'm not choosing.
Like some personal brand and networking stuff or spiritual nihilism.
I feel like with the way that you put those questions to me, you've already decided.
I haven't. You got to decide.
No, I think talk about personal brand. We'll finish with the spiritual nihilism as an idea to then.
All right, let's see how we go.
Week.
So last week I went into a fabulous business of graduates, like 15 graduates. I love that size group.
I love how we just completely go in different direction.
It's hilarious. This is
Continue.
This is the beauty of it. It's what are they called? Non sequiturs. Is that right?
Our whole life is a non sequitur.
That's the name of my book, Non Sequitur. So I went and did this amazing work with a group, amazing company, worked with them for a very long time, graduates on personal brand and networking. And of course, it's graduates, under 25 generally, in the engineering industry. So a lot
young
of
like
natural introversion around our age. And it was I was trying to keep it relatively simple, but I'm always surprised by how interested these people, younger people, are about these things because we bake them in because we've been around for a little bit longer. But you forget sometimes what it is, this big world that you're going into, and our 15-year-old's starting to get closer there, and you're like this huge world, and you don't know how any of the rules work.
Yes.
And you don't understand that you can just make your own rules.
It's funny.
You just do your own thing.
He had his careers night last night, and the only thing that he took away to text me about was that all of the people spoke about networking.
Right. So, and the thing, I just want to do a little section on this, and maybe it's helpful to people because it is a bit daunting. I know networking is daunting to people.
We're talking about networking or personal brand.
Both. Networking is daunting to people, and it really was to me when I was young. But
especially if you're an introvert.
Right. But personal brand is very vague. I don't like the expression. It's a bit wanky to me. But for the lack of a better one, let's go with personal brand. So it's like, and some of the things I was covering with them, and they've done other work on personal brand as well. What is a personal brand basically is the reputation that you have in the market. So the market looks at you, they think Laura Racky, her personal brand is that she's a lawyer, she's very competent, clearly has low dopamine. No. And there's 4, 5, 6, 7 things that people will think of when they think of you.
Are we talking about personal brand just in the professional context right now?
No, but let's start there.
Yep.
And it sort of bleeds out at the edges. So your family will have a view of you. And obviously we don't think of what our family thinks of us as a personal brand. So that's why I hate the title. But for the let's just park it there. we'll start professional. The market has a view of you. The market might not have a view of you almost at all. If you're young, you're just getting started, that no one knows who you are. You don't have a reputation, right? And to think of a personal brand is to think of it as building your reputation that you want to cultivate to the market.
Yes.
What you want the market to think of you when they think of you.
Yep.
Okay. So Coca-Cola wants us to think about summer and sunshine and fun when they think and drink the Coke, not think of
Really feel like a
sugar
Coke.
and you know what I mean? Like basically all the shit that's in it. And
Give me a Coke Zero.
right. But it's so, but see what I mean by the brand element. So your personal brand is not necessarily you. It's not bringing all of you, which people say bring all of yourself to work. I don't agree with that. You can if you want to, but I don't think that you should if you don't want to.
Yep.
You bring what you want to bring to your personal brand. And people think, oh, it's my LinkedIn profile, it's my social media, it's this, it's that. That's a small part of it. It's if you're in real estate and they think of your name or they see a picture of you, what are they thinking? That person's trustworthy. That person's competent. That person calls me back. That person tells me the truth. Or that person doesn't ring me back. That person's a liar. That person ripped me off that time.
So if they're talking about you externally,
what do they think of when they see you?
Yep.
Right. And if someone asks them about you, what would they say? Oh, Laura Racky, she's amazing. You should go see her. She's one of the best lawyers I've ever seen. She's really competent. She's really commercial, you know, blah, blah, blah. So it's important to think this through, not spend your whole life on this, but to think about what does the market think when they think of me?
Yes.
If you're missing out on promotions, if you're missing out on new opportunities, you're going for jobs, you're not getting them, it is in some part at least because your personal brand is not where it needs to be. And there are ways, because a market will form a view of you whether you work on it or not.
Yeah.
So if you don't work on it, it's still going to form. So it's worth putting a bit of time into. So how would I tackle it? I would pick the things that I value the most. And what does that mean? Things that I care about more than other things. It might be trust. It might be competence. There might be areas you need to study. You might need to think about how you're communicating and presenting to people. Almost certainly you need to think about how you're presenting to people. You might think you're presenting confidently, but you're actually fidgeting around and you're sitting in your chair and they're like, I can't have confidence in this person. Like their brand to me is not a person who's strong and powerful. So I really have to think about, be self-aware about how you're coming across and how your brand is being presented. Does that all make sense?
Absolutely.
Now, I would not encourage people if they, you know, there's lots of ways to do it. You can do it in person. Your personal brand and networking starts with the person sitting next to you. What does your team think of you? What does your company think of you? What are your customers and clients telling you? What feedback are you getting from them? What are they telling you? This is how you can start to craft what your current personal brand is. Are you getting promoted? Are you getting asked? People are asking you, can I have your opinion on this? Can I have your opinion on that? If you're getting all of that, you're on the right track.
Yes.
Right? Are you putting time into learning? Are you reading? Are you watching YouTube videos? You're learning how to do little micro skills. If you're doing all that, happy days. You're on the right path. If you're not getting any of those opportunities and you're frustrated by it, this is something to really think about. What does the market think of me? What do people think about when they think of me?
Because it's not this shiny thing that you're curating, you know, that you can be in total control of.
No.
It's building blocks over time, behaviors, competence, reputation. You know, I think of it from the perspective of, for women, like, you know, I always got frustrated if in a workplace, women who were professionals who were cleaning up the kitchen, right?
Yes.
Putting things in the dishwasher,
yeah.
or taking notes, you know, and not saying, no, Sam can take the notes. I took the notes last time because, again, this is personal brand. Unfortunately, if you're a woman in the workplace and your boss sees you stacking the dishwasher, they're not going to say, oh, wow, she's so, such a team player. They're going to say, oh, she's in a different playing field.
What they're going to say is that the personal brand of this person is that that's where they fit.
Right. She's always happy to take the notes.
That's their level.
Not run the meeting.
And that is, you instinctively get, and correctly, annoyed at the boss in that situation. But in the end, it is our responsibility to tell the market how to treat us.
I am not that person, and I will not be cleaning up after you. And I will not be taking the notes.
But that doesn't mean a confrontation, right? It might be
Just checking the time.
in that situation. That's a really good example. Your personal brand is that you're smart, but you will take the crappy jobs that no one else wants to do and not argue. Well, guess what? Next time, when it comes to taking the notes, you say, you know what, I've taken the notes the last 4 meetings. It's time for someone else to do it. Who's going to volunteer?
Yep.
And you don't fill the space. You put it there. You say, someone else do it. I'm not doing it anymore, and see what happens. And just don't then say, oh, it's okay, I'll just do it.
Because
no.
then you're always a backup dancer.
You're telling the market how to treat you.
Yes.
In a personal brand. And if you're telling the market, I will take all your crappy jobs and keep doing them quietly until I eventually pop.
Yes.
That is what you're going to get.
We've been talking about creators and business owners on Instagram or TikTok, complaining about customers and clients.
Yes.
And to me, this is that's another element of a personal brand, that if I was getting on TikTok and I was trashing clients or counterparties and I was saying, oh, this happened to me today and this dumb, my personal brand is going to be that is how I view the people that I have daily or working relationships with. And I would never want to be seen in that way because it's simply not true as a starting point. But I find it crazy when people want to put themselves out there in that way.
I don't understand it at all.
The next client,
the lack of discretion is diabolical.
Is that how they view their clients? Oh, wow. I hope I'm not one of those people.
What are they saying about me? And so then the market will say about that person, their personal brand, is that they trash their clients.
Yeah.
Right? Or they might eventually trash their clients. So it's like, if you want to be known for that, your business is not going to go great long term.
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's some people, some small sliver, who can pretty much seemingly do whatever they want and continue to roll on, right? And I just think if we're focusing on them as the norm or the majority, that's a huge mistake. Like if you think that you see someone who, trashes their clients or goes out and gets drunk and stumbles around or lies or cheats or whatever on their spouse, and they continue to come back, personal brand says somehow they just have it, and you're just not going to have it, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's not your lot in life.
Yeah, that's an outlier.
Right? That's like that. Yeah, that's an outlier.
Usually those people, unfortunately, have some high level of competence in another area.
Well, they're obviously super competent and super useful to somebody, right? But also there's just an X factor for some people.
Yeah.
Some people can just keep landing on their feet. I don't know what it is. But for the majority, you can build a reputation and a brand for years and undo it with one stupid thing.
What's your summary if you had never thought about your personal brand in a professional context before?
Yep.
How would you start? What would you start asking yourself?
Easy. I would start writing down what it is I want the market to think of when they think of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I want them to think that I'm very competent, that I'm trustworthy, me personally, that I'm very discreet, that they can tell me something, it will never, ever get repeated. So what does that mean? That means that when I do that, I have to actually live up to it. So whatever values you're going to set, you have to live up to them. What you'll find is if you start to write them down and start living up to them, you'll start gravitating toward them, and the market will notice. And this is very strange. They start to, something different about you.
Yeah.
And opportunities, and it might take a while, you've got to be patient, but doors will start to open. And people who share those values, who value those values and those behaviors, come over here in behind this, come to the next level of conversation. And then they find that you're discreet and competent and trustworthy enough to they take you to there's levels. Whatever level you're at, there's 50 levels ahead of you that you can get to.
Mm-hmm.
And you get there by embodying. And then now you want to set up LinkedIn profile. You want to do what we're doing, a little podcast. You want to do whatever you want. Go and do that. Fine. But in the end, what's underneath it, the scaffolding, is having the values and then living up to them. Set and lead. Set and lead. Set and lead. Don't pretend that you're the perfect person and then go and cheat on your spouse and get drunk and crawl around on the floor at work function. Guess what, mate? The market will work you out. But if you can set and lead and live up to it, the world will gravitate toward it. The gravity will change towards you. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed.
Like it.
Now we'll do networking another day.
Okay. You sure we don't want to do it in 6 minutes?
I think we can do some spiritual nihilism. You are reading a book. Yeah. Tell me what it's called.
It's the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
Would anyone other than in the world know what that is? How many people? Is this a popular book? I've heard of it, but I didn't know anything about it.
I can imagine it is, yes.
Yeah.
In other cultures, not I don't know how popular it is
in the West.
in the West.
Well, we're getting there, buddy.
I've obviously gotten there through, it's like one book leads to the next book and leads to
Joe
the next book.
Dispenza, Eckhart Tolle, Ram Dass, Tibetan Book of the Dead. Then
Right.
who knows where we end up?
So
I've got to read it next, by the way.
I actually,
Give us a shot glass Laura Racky version of what the hell this book's about.
I didn't really understand what it was about until halfway through this book, which has the first 4 hours of it is the narrator's introduction, which was fascinating.
Oh, so you're listening to, you're not reading.
I'm listening to it.
Classic Racky.
Non sequitur. It's the translator is Robert Thurman, who is Uma Thurman's father.
Yes. We
He
talked
took
about that.
vows as a monk. And
then what happened, Laura?
He met Uma Thurman's mother, like before Uma Thurman was born, and he disavowed. And he said, I'm out.
He said the Tibetans are dead to me.
I can't do this. I'm going in another direction. No, he didn't write.
He's narrated it though.
He's translated it and he's introduced it.
Got it.
What has been fascinating to me is what I loved about Buddhism as I was getting into it more is how it's not complex. It doesn't have these sort of fanciful, you don't have to imagine like a Jesus and a God and a heaven and all this sort of stuff that I find personally like the cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Right? I love that it's just a
Having
philosophy.
said that,
this Tibetan Book of the Dead.
Yeah, now you're getting into the real Buddhism.
It's like this whole book of incantations, this complex web of like characters and different, gods of this and these moose heads and
Don't
all
they
of
have
this.
minotaurs? No.
Sort of. And, it's all about leading while you're alive, being prepared for your death. So the Tibetans fear death.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's a little bit like Christianity or it's like if you haven't done everything right in this life, you will either not be reincarnated because reincarnation gives you the best chance to then get another go at enlightenment. Yep. Or when you are reincarnated, it will be into a shitty life.
Yeah, okay.
So they are terrified of dying.
Yeah.
And so they live their whole lives trying to go through this complex web of like, it's almost like these combinations of buttons and spells and things you've got to say and things you've got to unlock the knot around your heart. Like it's really complicated.
And if not, you end up in the underworld or some other.
So I'm like an hour in to the book, the Tibetan Book of the Dead part.
Got it.
I don't know what an hour is. I'm listening to it fast.
How does it clash with what you expected?
Because it's literally...
You expected cuddles and love and sitting on mountains and what you're getting is basically like some sort of...
It's a formula, but a really complex formula. And then you must say this 5 times and you must whisper it into the ear of the dying and then they will move into this in between. And it's like, whoa. And I just find it fascinating that us humans, like, they had the Buddha's teachings and they were like, no.
That's not complex enough. Yeah, that's not dastardly enough.
And the thing, anyway, so the thing I'm like struggling with the most at the moment, which maybe we can talk about next week, is this idea that there's no self, there's no identity, right? All the things that you think make up you or me or anybody.
All made up.
It's all made up.
Yeah.
And you are instead this essence. And I'm like, cool. But then they say that your essence is part of this wider consciousness.
What I say, like a raindrop back into an ocean when you die or something.
People who are watching White Lotus, the monk said it last week.
Right, that's why
he said, what does it feel like to die? And he said, it's like coming home because when you're born, it's like a drop coming out of the ocean, a drop of water. Yeah. And then when you die,
you come back.
And then I'm like, but don't you then get mixed in with all the rest of the
And why do we all have different identities? And then what's the point of even having identity? So, okay, we're going to definitely do that another day. I just want to skip back on religion for a second. Can I tell you a little joke? Do you remember George Carlin? George Carlin said something in the order of, God gives you this list of 10 things. And if you do these things, everything will be great. But if you don't do them, you go to a place of burning and fire and pain and smoke and screaming forever. But he loves you. He loves you and he needs money. He's omnipotent. He's just not so good with money. Anyway,
so I think I would like next week to talk about this concept of the essence and the whatever makes you and your little inner whatever, because that at the moment I really clearly understood this. I like the idea of a consciousness and a greater energy and us all being connected.
Which we'll have to do in more depth another day.
And where I'm you, you're me, like all of that. I'm cool with it. But then I'm like, But then what? And that leads to this spiritual nihilism where you're like, well, if we're all one and nothing matters, then
What's the point?
that's to me why these monks go and sit on a hill next to a river and they don't do anything for 50 years, because what would the point be?
Yeah. That actually, when it comes to the spiritual part of the Buddhism, I have great difficulty with. Like,
And
once
then
I
I'm
hit
like-
up against that, I can't,
And then
I'm not
like,
with you
if
anymore.
there is a God or a greater consciousness or whatever, don't they want us here to like live? Like, why am I here in this body? Why can I have children and relationships? Like, there must be a reason, right? Why can I have connections with family and friends and learn? Like, if I couldn't do all of those things, like that broader consciousness has made this decision collectively or whatever.
It is a very fascinating. And then
So-
there's the next question. Is it all just based on the fact that mitochondria entered our body 5,000 generations ago and it made us
So
what we
you're
are?
going pure science.
No.
There's
Maybe
no
it's
reason.
all. No. I'm not pure science. I have a. Okay, if we're going to go there, since
Can't-
we're
we
finishing,
can't.
we're finishing. It is, to me, impossible that the universe is as balanced as it is without intelligent design. I don't care who you are. I don't care what. I'm not. No solution will ever convince me that there's not some intelligent design going on. It is too perfect.
Right. So
Or it's the Matrix.
what we're going to ask the punters, our worldwide audience of
We do have a
millions,
worldwide audience.
we'll
We'll go far.
We'll put it out there about whether we should have a, what would I would say fairly uneducated, although wise discussion,
Deeply uneducated.
deeply uneducated, but wise, because
We're doing our best.
we've been around a little while and
Yes.
we think about things.
Yes.
Discussion about what does it all mean?
I have a view on the meaning of life, but I'm not going to tell you what it is today. I think I know what the meaning of life is.
Oh, really?
Yes. I think the meaning of life is,
Okay.
this is it for us. I think the meaning of life is that you get to choose your own meaning. Let's leave that for another time. Thank you, Laura Racky, for today. That was your dopamine thing was phenomenal. We've tackled some big things. I feel like now, episode 5, we've got our sea legs. We're
Have
ready
we?
to roll.
Good.
Who knows?
Let's go to work.